We're live. Hello.
Yay!
Yay. Yay, we're live. I never don't get excited about going live. Hello, everyone who has stopped or is scrolling. Go back if you don't have time to watch. It'll be up on our YouTube channel, and of course, you can watch it here. I am Kat, if we haven't met before, Kat Cholinos with Ta-Da by Kat, Next Level Staging and Design. And every Friday, we have Kat's Home Chat, and we talk about really a myriad of topics, all things home, anything to do with home. Hopefully you can put this on your calendar and join us. Today, I'm so excited because we have a special guest. You can see him right here, Mr. John Norris. I'm going to officially give him the mic in a sec. And let me just ask you, if you have ever thought about working with a spouse or a family member, or you are, and I know a lot of our realtor partners out there work with their spouse, you want to listen to this episode because John has years and years of experience with him and his beautiful wife, Jenny Norris. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce John Norris with eXp Realty. At the current moment, just segued over from Keller Williams. If you'd like more information about that, you can contact him. And what is your title at stagehomes.com, John?
I'm Executive Vice President.
Executive Vice President of stagehomes.com, the Cadillac of staging training in the industry, in which I'm very much a pleasure to have taken my training from stagehomes.com. John, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Hey, tell our audience, and I know John has a very busy schedule, so we've got about 20 minutes for John, and then a special surprise guest who's going to join us before John leaves and wrap up the show. But tell us just a little bit about how you got into staging and working with your wife in this growing and phenomenal business.
Well, Jenny, I always call her one of the OGs. We got introduced to staging through our realtor back in about 2000, who brought in a stager. And Jenny said, "What's a stager?" And then so she really got, very interested in it.
Intrigued, yes.
And so then we moved, and that was for our house that we were moving from Danville, California in the East Bay up to Sacramento. And then when we moved up to Sacramento and we got settled and so forth, Jenny just has a real knack, a real flair like you do, Kat, for home design and making homes beautiful. So she started scrolling around and found Barb Schwartz,
as I did,
the founder and originator of staging.
Yes, and I just want to interject. We have had Barb on the show, so go to my YouTube channel and check out her episode. She was the creator in 1972. Her and Jenny worked very close together for many years. Go ahead, John.
They were. So she took the training in 2002. And back then, it was completely different than it is today. It wasn't as sophisticated, but it was still putting an industry on the map. And the big thing that people have to realize, it's just like being a dentist or a carpenter or whatever. You can get the best staging training from stagedhomes.com like you took and Jenny took. But then you have to go market yourself. So then Jenny started, calling up real estate offices, and she grew from there. And she's been a stager now for 19 years.
I was going to say, do the math. It's like, 20 years.
Yeah. And within about 2 years, maybe 3 years, she became the largest home staging business in all of Sacramento.
Wow.
Sacramento, if you don't know, is about 2.5 million in population. So it's a medium-sized, good-sized metropolitan. So she's loved it. She's been doing it ever since. Barb, who she took her training from, quickly saw that she was putting Sacramento on the map, asked her to become a trainer. And Jenny is an excellent teacher. And so
I can attest to that. I took my master's class with her.
Right, exactly. And so she, it was kind of tough, but for 8 or 9 years, she was on the road 2 weeks a month. So 2 weeks every month for 8 to 9 years. Meanwhile, I was taking care of our 4 kids. At the time, they were 2 years old to 6 years old. Plus, I was doing my IT job 50 hours a week. So I was in Fortune 500 IT sales before I got into real estate.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I've just been
So
behind the scenes with her.
when did you and Jenny, you know, it's funny because we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, Jeff and I. Jeff joined my staging business as well. And he'll talk about his excitement going to Europe conference and meeting you and Jenny and all of that. But when at some point, I know really while you were holding the base down, taking care of the kids, you know, all that, you know, of course, your partnership, you know, that's really, maybe you're not, you know, with yet on the company, but that's certainly, you're lifting up your spouse. You know, what year did you, you know, technically, was it when y'all bought stagehomes.com, or was it prior to that you were partners in business? And I don't mean, hey, I need you to go schlep a couch, but you know, that is part of it, right?
Yeah.
You get stuck. We were talking about this the other day, and you called me, go, hey, I've got a problem. I need you, you know, I've done it with Jeff. Hey, you know, I'm out of town. I need you to go do some paint touch up that the movers did on the stairway.
You scratch the wall.
My client happy. Yeah, scratch the walls, you know, or go swap out a couch, or, you know, whatever. So definitely supporting. How long have you been like partnerships in the business, you know, I guess formally?
Well, before, I mean, just to kind of add on what you're saying, when I became a realtor in 2004, I quickly grasped onto staging is awesome.
Sure.
And their NAR
and staging, yeah, that's perfect partnership.
Yeah. And so as an example, I started farming a subdivision of about 1,200 homes. And there was a guy in there, Dana Likens, I'll never forget, Remax, great guy. He had about 6 or 7 listings at any one time. And he was kind of a god in our little area.
Right.
And within a year and a half, I was the #1 listing agent because my secret weapon was staging. So, but just like what you said, Kat, you know, probably once a week, she'd be like, can you get in your car? You need to go to the store. We need to pick up 2 more lamps. Or we couldn't get it. We just de-staged, you know, a 5,000 square foot home. We couldn't get everything in the truck. Can you go take your SUV and, you know, go grab everything else? So I would go over there, knock on the door, you know, grab stuff. So I've always been behind the scenes, kind of her assistant.
Supportive.
But as a supportive husband, you know, when she's out and about and she's cranking, now an average good stager, you know, at least several years ago, even today, is doing maybe 2 to 3 stagings a week. She's doing an average of 2 stagings a day.
Yeah.
6 to 7 days a week. Yeah. And so I was making a lot of the dinners, as you said, taking care of the young kids, helping with their schoolwork. And I didn't really think a thing about it. That's just what we did.
Sure.
And she was doing great. You know, so it's just, you do what you have to do to be a supportive spouse.
So I'm going to switch a little bit here, and that's really great. You know, you have to, you know, really communication to me is everything, whether you're in business together or not, for spouses. So I know you and Jenny have great communication, you know, and are proactive in communication. Don't laugh. I'll mean it. But you're now in business with your son, John.
Or Stephen, yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, is it Stephen? Oh, I'm sorry. With Stephen Norris for Homes. Okay. So I know that's a relatively new partnership, but there again, this is family, you know, family business. Share with our audience in that respect, with your partnership with your son, what are the top, let's just say top 3 things, only in interest of time. What are the top 3 things that you would want to share with an audience that they might want to either be aware of, cognizant of, you know, don't make this mistake, or do this in a family partnership such as you and?
Well, I'll say with Jenny, it's tough not to bring the business home. You know, but we basically, you know, let each other vent for about a half an hour, and then we kind of try to put a cap on it. Notice how I said kind of.
I like that. So number 1, yeah, if you're working with your partner, with your family member, you know, don't make it 24/7 taking the business home. You know, the nice thing is that most people who are entrepreneurial with spirits, they have a passion and love what they do. And I know John and Jenny, I know John and Stephen, they love it. They wouldn't be so successful if they weren't. You know, how does the saying go? You know, love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. And so it's not, it's not hard to bring it home and want to, expand on it, but you need balance. And I think that's what John is saying, have some venting, have some bantering, because that's how you get your juices back and forth. One thing that Jeff and I found, and we've been a little remiss in the last 3 weeks because stuff has happened, but is to, instead of me sitting on the couch and go, hey, what about that? And hey, we need to take care of that. And hey, this happened, this and that, is we have tried, and we have to get back on track, but to have formal company meetings at the table, 30-minute, 45 minutes, hour, whatever it is, and have our action items. What did we complete from last week? What do we need for that? And that has helped us, John, to not take it into, because he's looked at me going, God, I just, he doesn't want to work. It's 8 o'clock at night, doesn't want to still work or think, and things will get dropped that way. So, I know you and I both come from a corporate background. Many of our realtor partners out there have come from a corporate background. So take those corporate skills, a simple thing like having a team meeting or a principal meeting or whatever, weekly, biweekly, whatever, I think is great. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's a great idea. So looking at with Stephen, and he's 25 now. I'm a little bit older than he is.
A little bit, just a little bit.
And so he has a lot of good ideas, creative ideas. And it's, when you're working with family, you have to kind of set aside that he's my son versus he's my business partner. So I have to give him, the respect, and I have to give him a lot more patience than you normally would if you already know what the answer is to a problem, because I want him to kind of sort it out and figure it out. But at the same time, Stephen, in our particular business, has brought a real new energy and has brought the social media factor that I didn't have. I mean, I used Facebook, but he uses a lot more, avenues.
Yeah, I got to get you on Instagram. I didn't find you on Instagram.
I know. And Stephen's great on that. And so is Jenny.
Yeah, he's on it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, as you've already kind of mentioned, you've got to set boundaries.
So that's a key one. I believe that sometimes, and I come, back when I was growing up, my parents owned a dry cleaners, and I worked a couple of times in the dry cleaners, but my siblings, worked full time. And so family businesses, yes, can be tricky in that you either are you overcompensate and you're over strict, no different than you're a brownie leader or scout leader. You're over strict with your family member who's on the team, or you're the opposite, So like you said, striking that balance of letting Stephen find out the solutions for himself, because you don't want to enable him. But also, I know Jenny and I have talked, because I know you have family, also that work in the staging business with Jenny, is to set the expectations and have accountability. Like, if it's not okay for whatever your best business practices for outside people on the team, it should not be okay for people in the family as well, and to keep, like you said, those boundaries and those expectations unified.
Well, and you bring up a really good point, because our lead stager is our oldest daughter, Lauren, yeah, who has a real knack. She's like Jenny. She really can go into a house and visualize, and spacing is everything in staging, as you know. But sometimes, I don't know how much I should tell you, but she sometimes
whatever
arrives.
You're comfortable with.
She arrives, 10 minutes late. Sometimes she's a procrastinator on certain tasks that Jenny gives her. So, we try to hold her accountable. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
So Lauren, so I just had to have this conversation with, and if you're listening, Crystal, because we just had a review, and she just got a nice raise, and that is being late, being on time. And it sounds like a small, maybe nitpick thing to some people, but when I was in corporate America, I remember being late to a meeting, and Sandy, if you're listening, we're friends now back in Southern California. She came from a military background. I was doing the Orange Crush in Orange County to get to Irvine. I gave myself an hour. It took me an hour and a half. There was something going on. When I walked in, she ripped me a new one, and she did not spare the F bombs. She, like I said, she came from a military family, scared the living crap out of me. And, you know, I think from there on in, you know, the adage, if you're not early, you're late, has been my motto. Maybe through my child raising, small baby raising kids, maybe I wasn't always on time to family gatherings, but, you know, from the corporate American everything. Because, and this is what I explained to my team member, when you're late, if you're listening, Lauren, when you're late, not just once in a while, but kind of habitually late, it gives a message to the other person or group that your time is more valuable than theirs, and you don't respect their time, and you don't respect those time frames given. So, you know,
it also kind of breaks down the fabric of your business.
Thank you. That's the second component of it.
Because
we're a well-oiled, oh my God, the volume you guys do, you know, you've got to be a well-oiled machine. It's just like, I've used movers who need to be on time. It's not I'll be there at a window. No, you need to be at this time because I coordinate for my stagers to get at the property by this time. We know that travel time is this much time and we'll be done by this much time. And that's, you know, I mean, we've on occasion done a couple stages in a day. That's not my, you know, joy to do that. So we try to keep it to not more than one. But, you know, like you said, it breaks down the fabric of the operations, you know, and in order to keep that as a well-oiled machine, you know, to make you profitable and to continue to hire and have a team, you know, so.
Well, and it really affects your reputation with our client, our two sets of clients, right? The sellers and the realtors.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we don't want them to see, you know, how the sausage is made, so to speak.
Thank you.
So all of a sudden, if somebody arrives, God forbid, 30 minutes late, it affects everything.
Yes.
You know, you have to balance that family and then, you know, we always have to make sure, and I love this. I learned this in corporate America from an awesome boss I had. He always said, criticize in private, praise in public.
Absolutely.
Right.
I love that. And did you have something? I don't want to interrupt you. I love that. Criticize in private, praise in public. Yeah. Sandy didn't do that, but boy, did she embarrass the heck out of me.
Sometimes you need to, you know, like scold somebody, right?
Yeah.
And it does send a strong message.
I think she was setting an example.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about, you know, boundaries on how much work versus family, you know, to kind of talk about.
Yes.
Accountability, which is excellent.
Yes.
And I guess one thing too that I know you and Jeff are really good at, and Jenny's really good at, is continually setting the vision for people in the business, because it's really easy after 2 or 3 weeks when you're doing 10 to 12 stagings a week, like we are, to just, it's a grind. And especially when it starts snowing where we are in Colorado.
Yes.
Or now we're starting to, in about another month, we're going to start getting into hot weather. A lot of people don't realize it, but we get triple digit weather in Denver, but easily in the low to mid 90s. So when it gets hot and people start getting tired, you as a business owner, you know, especially with family, you've got to always kind of talk about growth in the business and, you know, come up with, and I love what you just said, you know, bonusing your workers. And then Jenny's really good at, you know, probably once every month and a half, she does like a company lunch, you know, that kind of thing.
Sure, absolutely. Keeping them excited, making it fun. You know, this is, you know, we don't do near the volume you do. And you know, and if you're listening out there and you do, you know, you can create, you know, I monitor how busy I want to be, you know, for the most part. Sure, we had a decrease with COVID, et cetera. But, you know, every business profile and model is different, and it depends on what's important to you. So if you are getting burnt out in whatever business that you're doing, monitor that and zero in on what is your ideal soul tribe client. And you can adjust that, because wow, what magic it is to be in business for yourself and not have, inflexibility of a 9-to-5 job. With that, John, I'm going to bring on our guest. This is Jeff Wong, the man, the myth, the legend, and he is going to talk about, probably amongst other things, he is going to share with us the Pro Staging Hall of Fame, which we had the honor of curating together with John and Jenny and presenting the very first ever in Nashville, I think it was, right? To Barb Schwartz. So without further ado, hello, Mr. Jeff Wong, the man, the myth, the legend, and my spouse and business partner as well.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me here. I know.
Can you turn your volume up just a little, baby?
What?
Your volume?
This is full.
That's it?
Oh, okay.
You can hear him? Can you hear him?
Barely.
Barely, yeah. It's kind of low.
I can't stream.
No, you're fine. I can hear you.
We can hear you.
All right. So it was a tremendous, I think, opportunity when the whole Europe conference happened with international staging. In
Rome.
In Rome. Yeah.
So we really never talked about it, but I was so blown away on regards to the camaraderie, the brother and sisterhood of the whole entire organization. Now, of course, it was even more so impressive that I met so many people that had spouses behind the scene. And I thought I was the only one that was driving the U-Haul and doing the right?
Nope.
No. As a matter of fact, that's where I started the ball rolling. And once we then came back and had our first, kind of hang with you and Jen up in Breckenridge, that has spawned the inspiration to really look at what staging has become, where it came from an idea that was on literally stage performance from Barb Schwartz that grew into now what we really do believe is part of our society, home sale, home. This is one of the things, like I always said, the buying a home is probably one of the largest purchase in anybody's life.
Oh, for sure.
Right? And staging is no longer just an add-on. Staging is now the quintessential part of the package to really maximize your opportunity to sell and profit from the home. And with that being said, that also so many people that was involved in how it evolved, it inspired me to get with John to talk about, hey, well, let's document, preserve, and start to show the world what this is about. So Pro Staging Hall of Fame was born in 2019. And we have definitely a website, staginghof.com. It's all voluntary. There is nothing that is so-called benefiting for profit or any of this. This is purely to show the history as well as the people who are involved. If you look at it, there's more, all the organizations I could find on this planet is got a link on there. We are also trying to put this into a so-called a location where you can actually walk in and see the displays and so forth. And my goal, and I said this to Bart at Nashville, the goal is in 10 years that we would have a standalone building, that we would have an exhibit as well as history and education regards to what this is about. And this includes not only staging it for home, but staging for photography, staging for performance, those type of things. Because staging overall, it's a presentation of
the
society, of who we are as humanity at this point and what we're about. Right?
You mean it's not just about fluffing pillows?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I love John's enthusiasm. When I gave him that, he was like, okay, well, then let's talk about logistics. And we had it up running a relatively short time.
Yeah, it was wonderful to present it to her in Nashville. I haven't been on that site in a while. Do you have pictures of the event, Jeff?
I do have pictures. Like I said, the Hall of Fame also has Twitter as well as Facebook. So you can go there and see some the history of it. But the location, we actually have digital display screens loaded up with hundreds and thousands of photos that is going to do a slideshow when you go to the event, and you're going to see some explanation.
Oh, right, on the digital screens. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's wonderful. Yeah, you know, that coming to fruition to really honor and memorialize, if you will, you know, the industry. And, you know, Barb Shores created it in 1972. Jenny Norris has, you know, taken the ball and just elevated it to a whole nother level, and is a significant leader in the industry, you know, both with her company and with the stagehomes.com for training. So good things to come.
Well, yeah. And so, Jeff, I love that it was definitely yours and Kat's brainchild. You came to Jenny and me. We just added a little bit. But I think it's really important, just like what we talked about yesterday on the phone. A lot of industries, especially sports, have their Hall of Fame to honor people who made a difference, not just in performance like baseball, basketball, football, but their impact on the industry in a positive way.
Yes.
And you guys are definitely part of that for sure. But I mean, I can think of people in Florida. I can think of people in Delaware, people in Texas, California, that are rock stars.
Yep.
You know, like Kevin Tain is a great example. Comes to mind in the Los Angeles area.
Absolutely.
And he's actually on one of the mainstream, probably top 3 HGTV shows as the home stager.
Yep.
And it's kind of like, you know, a floating tide, or excuse me, a rising tide floats all ships. So when I look at this Pro Staging Hall of Fame, it's basically to continue to keep staging, you know, in the front.
In the forefront.
A lot of people don't understand how it works. Why is it there? I mean, I talk to realtors probably on a weekly, monthly basis who don't use it. They don't understand it. So I kind of take it upon myself to take 5-10 minutes and educate them and get them on board.
It's all about education, isn't it? And that's really, I think, you know, what we all need to, you know, give back is to educate, because if someone doesn't know about it, they don't know the benefits. You know, it's our job to educate them so that they can see how we can help their business. We can help create wealth for a homeowner. I don't know about you, but more and more I'm getting homeowners, because, you know, everybody's HGTV, and, you know, that can be a double-edged sword. But again, that's where we educate them. And so I see, like 5 years ago, homeowners, but I'm getting more and more homeowners call me before the realtors sometimes. Are you getting that? Yeah.
I would say probably 20% of Jenny's business over the last few years. And of course, it's all about your website, but call her ahead of time. They think staging before they call the realtor, which is awesome.
Yes.
You know, because they're thinking, oh my gosh, we got to get this house decluttered. We got to get it staged. I'm kind of embarrassed right now before I bring over a realtor.
Yeah.
So I mean, staging.
If you're a homeowner out there, don't be embarrassed, because, you know, the bottom line is how we live in our home is completely different than how we market it to sell it to get top dollar. So
I agree.
A professional stager is never going to judge you. A good professional stager will never judge you, because again, professional companies. I mean, you can't see the rest of my desk, but I couldn't put my house on the market right now. And, you know, it's not stage ready. We don't live in a stage ready home.
Of course not. Yeah.
But, you know, my opinion is that, and I know you'll agree, John, is that staging is the most strategic marketing tool that you can do to prepare a home for sale.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the great thing is, for any realtors watching the show, or especially homeowners, NAR, National Association of Realtors, for the last 10 years has been keeping stats on home staging.
Yep.
And they say there's 2 main stats. In a slow market, staging will help sell your home twice as fast. In a hot market like we're all experiencing, you will still get anywhere from 5 to 15% more.
Yes. Now, let me emphasize that 5 to 15% more. If you're just doing what Keller Williams calls the 3 Ps, putting the sign up, putting in MLS, and praying someone else will sell it. Well,
Right,
yeah,
like this.
like this. It will sell, but you know what? You're going to get someone in that homeowner's ear going, "Oh, really? You so quick? Well, gosh, we took a minute and staged ours, and we have the same house. I got 6% more than you did." Oh,
Right.
well, my realtor never mentioned anything about staging. What's staging? So,
Well, the thing too that we always tell homeowners is it's a business write-off. So staging is a business write-off in the IRS eyes.
yep.
So it's a real investment. It's not just an
Section 523, talk to your CPA, but it is a write-off. Whereas a price reduction, and if you don't think there's price reductions even in this hot market, there are. Okay, we just did a townhouse that had 3 realtors, was never staged. We staged it, 2 offers above list the first weekend out. You know, when people are looking at a certain price range, and I know you and Jenny run across this, you know, 600,000-700,000, they expect a certain look because we're selling a feeling, we're selling a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And so even though you think, oh, it's going to sell quick, if it's not speaking to that buyer, you may be sitting on the market, you know, and of course we love it when that happens because we can help, right?
Right. Well, guys, unfortunately, I must leave.
Thank you
so much for having us on.
John. Thank you so much. You're just such a plethora of information.
Yeah.
Give it up to Jenny. And folks, you can watch this on YouTube, Tada by Cat on YouTube in the next 48 hours. It'd be on YouTube. If you're seeing this after live, which most people are, please share with folks who would, you know, benefit from this information. And and so with that, we're going to just wrap it up with Mr. Jeff Spike Wong. And thank you so much, John.
Bye, John.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was an honor.
Thank you, sweetie. Have a fabulous, successful day and a wonderful weekend.
Yes, thank you.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye.
Well,
Okay. Well, that was great. Yeah.
absolutely. I think John has, you know, only X amount of time, you know, because the show is only so long. But
Yeah, and we're approaching 10:32. So you know, with that,
some point up in regards to, you know, how special John Norris really is and the kind of inspiration that he's shown me. I mean, when we went to the Nashville conference, this thing is huge. It's at the Gaylord Hotel, and I'm watching him literally work from sun up to sundown. And I participated, you know, driving in a truck with him to go get stuff and all this. You know, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that I was really impressed with, how the spouses who's involved, that is not on the face of the so-called marketing brochures or the ones that does the meet and greet or anything like that. I met, of course, the gentleman Kim on the East Coast. There was another gentleman from Boston. There were just so many people that made me feel that wow, we really are a very family oriented industry, and that itself was extremely warm, extremely, to me, endearing, touching, and for me to want to be a part of it. And I really had no idea prior to joining this that I wanted to be a part of the staging industry.
and I have to say, I'm so happy that you joined. You know, as I mentioned earlier, Jeff, you know, you were on the back end, you know, creating marketing and logo and this and that where you could help. But it's been I think it's been over 2 years now, right?
Yeah.
2.5 years that you joined full time with Tada by Cat, and it's been just amazing. In fact, we're super excited. For those of you who are listening, we just purchased a transit truck and just got our wrap from the Wrap Stars back yesterday. Like anything, you know, it was a work in process. We gave them the logo. It really wasn't, the logo didn't really look how we wanted it. And so Jeff spent about an hour and a half with the guy at the computer getting it just right, you know, because, you know, branding's critical. And, you know, Jeff created the Tada by Cat logo, you know, many years ago, and we can't have a, you know, bastardized version of that, if you will, this big on a big truck. So it was critically important. The good news is, though, Wrap Stars, if you're in the Houston area, is awesome. They did whatever it took right, Jeff, to make it right.
Yeah.
And that's important. And I knew he would. We were unhappy at first, but we knew he would. He's a small business owner, a successful business owner, and word of mouth is everything to business owners. So yeah, he did good.
And that's another thing that I wanted to kind of give accolades to everybody, that this industry is built from small businesses. This is not a big corporation takeover, right. The top 400 CEO making a buck off everybody. No, this is small businesses bonding together, And of course, I'm going to have to absolutely give shout outs to all the folks over who's done a fantastic job in Europe. Sonia did an incredible job organizing. Verena did excellent organizing along with her. Patricia, so warm and loving. I mean, there's so many people that came out of the so-called the industry on that side of the globe, and that's not counting all the great folks that we met there that came from here, like Lynn, Sandra, on and on. It has been very enlightening and as well as inspirational from watching other people's small business succeed in their regions and how they take care of their clienteles, and this is why the Pro Staging Hall of Fame exists, is that we wanted to show these small businesses and what they do for their regions and their clienteles and how they make what we thought was an add-on bonus now into a part of the whole entire industry of home sales. And this is not just limited to reselling homes. This is also in commercial, endeavors. In commercial, like we did a restaurant that was fantastic. I'm sure Kat will talk about this. It has talked about this, in previous episodes. But I'm going to tell you, when you are giving the luxury of designing how it should look in a space that everybody's going to come visit, it's an incredible honor and privilege to be in that driving seat.
It is an honor and privilege, and to everyone out there, again, no matter what business you're in, staging, real estate, I know real estate is not for the faint of heart. I've said that before. I walk in the shoes. I hold my license. Yeah, it's y'all do so much, and our job as a professional staging company is to make your life easier and make you look good. I was on a webinar for some mentoring for some new real estate agents the other day. And, one of the things that I share with realtors is, you have to think about your branding. If you're just starting out, you want your brand to reflect, and it will reflect and it will attract what I call your soul tribe. So if you're just doing the 3 Ps, putting the sign out, putting an MLS and praying someone else will sell it, and it's not reflective of the best that it can be, because your first showing is online, and that means it being staged, at least with a staging consultation with Occupied, because your pictures are going to be your first showing, and that's going to tie into your brand. So, really think about that, because you can't backpedal your brand. Now, we all started, I was telling John Reagan in a show a week or so ago that, my first stagings, I didn't have the budget. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I kind of cringe when I look at a couple of rooms that I did. But, when you know better, you do better. And you improve and elevate that status. But again, if you're a new realtor, get branding. Get your branding set with who you want to attract, to build your business model. And, even if you're just working with flippers or lower end, every home deserves and can improve not only the dollar value, but your commission by being staged. And so that's all I'm going to say about my bandwagon on staging.
Yeah. Well, let me add to this, just so everybody really do understand how this particular genre industry has enhanced the resale homes as well as new homes. I mean, it came from new homes. Both Kat and I have been sales counselors for builders. So we know what multiple model homes in a model home row, the competition, how it should look, how people are coming in droves. I mean, when you're in a situation where you're in the office and you're getting 10 to 20 to sometimes even 30 visits from groups of people on a daily basis, you got to have your A game on and you got to look spectacular. Okay, so now when we look at it from a resale point of view, let's just take hypothetically a $200,000 home. We're going to clean it. We're going to look really great, slap some really fresh looking paint, do the garden. Okay. And then somebody's going to put in an offer, $195. We're going to start with that negotiation and so forth. And that's how it used to be done. But what we've learned is that when you put a lifestyle, stage it into a home, brings emotional energy content that would move people within inside of themselves. Next, you know what happens, that $200,000 home is that you can put it at $215,000, and there's people wanting it at $215,000, multiple parties. So the natural thing for the realtor to say to their clients is, listen, we're going to have to come up a little above because they got multiple offers here. And how does that actually happen? Yeah, I get the location thing, but it really is about somebody walking in and goes, I can live here. I would love to live here. My mother did this. I showed her a house that was on the market for one day, like that, right? And she walked in within less than 5 minutes. She looked at me, she goes, I can live here. And you know what? She's living there now. It was that quick. It was that easy. And why was it? Because the way that house felt and how it was staged, how it was put together. And I'm going to tell you, that's one of the key components that I've learned from this industry that was mind-blowing. You know, I come from an entertainment industry, so I understand staging, how it should look, how it should present, how it should be placed, all these things, so people can have what we called breakfast talk, which is when they sit around the next day in the morning having breakfast, they're the first thing they say is, man, do you remember this? How about that? And they're regurgitating these memories, these feelings. Staging is doing that in such a momentum. It's like an avalanche. Now we're at a point where I truly believe that as society, the way we live and dwell is now part of the staging industry success bringing into home sales. So we want to preserve it. You know, we wanted to show the history of it, who started it, who's the major players in it. Pro Staging Hall of Fame. If you go there, just kind of look through, click on the links, learn a few things, look at the pictures, look at everybody's organizations. And then, of course, on the bottom, there's a link that you can get involved. Click it. You know, we're not asking for money. We're asking for what stories do you have? What kind of pictures do you have? What is your personalization that you want to contribute to preserving this fantastic industry? So it's prostaginghof.com. You also can find our Pro Staging Hall of Fame pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So we're putting it out there.
I think I'm going to post this on Jenny's. She has a couple of staging groups, and we'll post that on there so we can get some visibility of y'all stagers out there, because we'd love you to participate and showcase as many of your lovely properties, and work. I'm just really honored, as you said, not only do we make a difference in selling homes faster and for more money, that creates wealth for folks, but there's so much emotion around selling a home. I've talked about this before. It can be positive, it can be negative, but it's emotion driven. And so you can feel good as a home stager that you are helping folks move into the next step of their home journey, whatever it may be, and that you're easing that process for them by beautifying those spaces and creating that positive, income and outcome for them. And that's something to feel good about.
Yep. This is a win-win from all parties. Like I said, if you've ever been in the driver's seat of, I wanted to sell my home, I need to get X amount of dollars out. You start doing math in your head, and you try to talk to realtors. The first thing in your mind is, how can I spend less money? That's a wrong concept. How to make more money requires how to prepare yourself and set yourself to be at that level, at that class.
Absolutely. And I'm going to end that, Jeffrey, because we're at the 10:45 mark. I know you and I and John could probably chat for 5 hours. I know, Jeff Wong, the man, the myth, the legend. If you think you can't afford staging, you're wrong. If you'd like more information, my company, Tada by Cat Next Level Staging and Design, has packages that will fit anyone's budget on the vacant side. And for occupied consultation or occupied plus, we're talking pennies. So give us a call. We are at 281-798-3750. Don't usually plug at the end of the show, but I think it's appropriate. And I know a lot of folks are getting ready. So if you are in the Houston area, please give us a shout out, and have a wonderful weekend. And as usual, stay hopeful, stay positive, and stay connected. And thank you for connecting with me and John and Jeff today. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Jeff.